Hey, welcome back with Knife here, and today I get to save you the process of me struggling with my knife to unbox it because I actually picked this one up in person today over at Brown Knives in Blaine. Craig was generous enough to host myself and my son. He was 5 years old. He made it through like half of the session. I barely got to even look at this while I was there. We were just talking mostly and talking about design ideas and other stuff, and I actually left Craig with a little gift, but I did get to flick this a couple times and was like, wow, this is on another level. So this is Brown Knives Cortex XL number 436, and this was, he did like a website drop for CCKS, the knife show, California Custom Knife Show out of Anaheim. And there were two, Brown knives. One was a mini FSDI, which is actually generally my go-to of his knives, but this one was just a little too good to pass up. The design was just, to me, off the hook. And I haven't really seen like his, I don't know what you call this, hand rubbed or whatever, versions of these Cortex XL. So I really wanted to get my hands on it, and I'm happy I did, because despite being such a light knife, the action on this is just spectacular because it's so highly polished. It's really something else. So excited to compare this. I actually own Cortex XL number 1. It's not like one of my go-to knives, to be honest. It could be, but man, I just love my mini FSDI. So since I have this also, I just carry this one and not this one. Just a preference more or less than more than anything else. But let's check this out, compare it to number 1 here and see what we think. So the first thing I was really curious about here was to get this weighed in by comparison, because when he does the inlays, it means he can't do as much of the machining out from inside the scales. Now, this Cortex XL doesn't have machining out on the inside of this scale. It's such a thin scale that it's just really a flat piece of metal there, from what I understand. You can kind of see that for yourself there. So this is going to be interesting to see how this, weighs in comparison. So that's 3.71 ounces. And the fancy one here, 3.925. I could feel once I picked it up, it just had that extra little 3.925, that extra quarter ounce was noticeable. Part of that could just be the milling here does take out some metal on both sides. So it could be as much that as anything else, to be honest. But obviously these inlays are pretty special, and I'm not a big bright inlay person. So to kind of have this design here with the the very, I don't want to say modest, but a little less crazy on the inlay color is really special to me. Now check that out on the edges, because those are catching my eye there and have some color just on the edges, and that does make this a pretty spectacular experience in person, I have to say. You can just barely see it on the edges there. Man, that is pretty crazy. Now on the inside, take a look at that. You can actually see where the inlays are sort of bolted in there. I don't know if they're screwed in. It looks like they are. It looks like they may be screwed in. So that's pretty interesting. I don't know if I've seen something like that before, where the inlays are actually screwed with titanium screws. That is really interesting. Quite an approach, and leave it to Craig to figure out something like that, where he makes those screws in-house, by the way. But man, the thing that stands out to me the most is that is just totally on another level of smoothness. The way that Damasteel blade is polished, and as you can see, this thing is gravity drop shot. I mean, it is impressive here, despite having zero blade play. But man, the smoothness on this thing, that hollow ground Damasteel blade, gotta be careful there. It'll get you. it is just wildly smooth. Gosh, that is a thing of beauty. So yeah, pretty stoked to get my hands on this one. What else to mention about it? It has the Damasteel on the blade. I believe that would be represented somewhere on the lock bar, maybe? Does it say it on these still, or is that just on the older ones? Maybe just on the... Okay, he did it here on the inside of the scale on these. So on this, it was on the lock bar, which, by the way, it wasn't really like the easiest place to see, so I'm not mad that he changed that. So now, let's see if it's showing in here. What do we see in there? Number 436, M. Yeah, I don't have like great lighting right now, so it's kind of hard for me to see it, unfortunately. You can probably see it better on your camera screen than I can actually see it in person. So anyways, I'll take a look at that. Maybe I can get up and flashlight really quickly. Okay, number 436, it says MXL. You'd think it would say like D instead of M for the Magna Cut or something, or the Damasteel, but maybe I'm off on how he's doing the coating on these now. Yeah, that's a pretty remarkable display of knife making. Man, that's a pretty special one, as they always are with Craig. But it was fun. I got to go by there and bring my collection by. Craig doesn't actually keep one of all of his knife models, which is interesting to me. He's not like a really big knife guy. He's more of a machinist that makes knives. We were talking about some other ideas that he could potentially apply himself to. I won't say anything or suggest anything. That's up to him how he wants to run his business. But I would just love to see him do more stuff because I like his work. And yeah, while I was over there, we just, gosh, that is impressive. And, you know, if you don't know, he hand hollow grinds this. Maybe I'll throw up some pictures from the shop on Instagram from my stay over there. I'll find ones that he'd be okay with being up there. But yeah, he hand hollow grinds his knives. Despite doing CNC for a lot of his work, that hollow grind there is done by hand on every knife. And this guy is doing over 500 knives a year as a one-man shop. I don't think anyone else is on that level for a one-man shop. So that's pretty impressive display of work, frankly. What was I gonna mention? I'll throw out some pictures. It's a really cool shop. He's actually expanding it to be able to get more machines, I think. I can't remember exactly what he was planning to do, and I think convert some of his current shop into more living space for his home. So impressive that he's just continuing to invest in what he's doing over there. Saw a lot of his gear, his drill presses, his CNC, the belt sander. He gave my son, he's actually gave me something too. He gave me this little piece of, I don't know what that is. Maybe it's Damascus steel or something. Might be a little Damasteel there to play around with. So I might try sanding that up and having a little fun with it. But I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know what that is, Timascus or Damasteel or something. But I'll tinker around with that a little bit just for fun. It must be Timascus, I guess. I don't know. And he gave my son like a worn out collet from his machine, which my son thought looked kind of like Star Wars-y, which is kind of fun. My son's all into Star Wars, so it was good to get over there. Yeah, I mean, just the overall approach he takes to what he makes is, you know, one of my favorite knife makers, top 5, has been for years now. And there's a reason for that. Just think his work is really spectacular. And yeah, glad to have another really cool one here in the collection. So I think that's about all for now. If you enjoyed the content and my late night ranting, which is about what you're getting at this point, given the time I'm making this video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.